with every episode, we're going to start with reviewing healthcare in each country. So, Coté, go ahead. You were asking. You were asking Matt.
Well, I was asking how the Australian healthcare is because I think my impression so far in the Netherlands is it's okay. It's just a little slow, a little casual. I don't know.
No, it's actually pretty good. There've been a couple things in the U.S. lately where I'm like, well, if they just did it the Australian way, that wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
But it's also, how do you feel about countrywide centralized medical stuff, right? They're like, oh, how are we going to do these vaccine passport things? I'm like, it's already in my phone, right?
You're like,
it was there,
yeah.
2 days after I went and got it, and it's like, how will they know, who's been exposed to COVID where? It's like, it's in my phone. They already have that database.
Yeah. That is, I think that's a key learning you get abroad, is that a centralized identification system, and then the resulting oh, sorry, I'm listening to myself there. You realize that once you can make it, am I going to get this right? If there's a centralized identity table that other agencies are allowed to make foreign keys to, then you solve a lot of problems.
China's got everything already about Australia. Yeah.
But it makes things so straightforward. You just at least you go to any sort of institution here and you just tell them you're identifying information, and they're like, oh yeah, here, I see. Now I know everything about you.
Exactly.
Which is quite beneficial in many cases. It pre-fills out your address, things like that. It just knows about you. It's great.
I like that.
Every
pre-fill address.
Well, every website you go to, you start they auto-complete your address. I know they could do that in the US. It's just a bigger data set, but I start typing 28 WA, and it's here are the 7 completions in the whole country.
Yeah.
They do that. I mean, there are websites that do that.
Yeah, there are websites. But it must have been really easy.
That feels like something that should just be done. There should be an AWS free service, or go everyone just uses this as because I think the postal system has it. Maybe they
should be done. Yeah,
I think they have. I think because it's amazing when it works, right? You're like,
It everywhere does that. Here, it's one of the few times where I've thought Australia had something before America. We were having a conversation the other day. I was like, what could you just bring to Australia that everyone already has in America and make money with? I mean, we lived here for 5 years.
Peanut butter, my friend. It's peanut butter.
Oh, they have a ton of peanut butter.
I thought it was just Vegemite. I was like, I don't like that.
No. They have a ton of peanut butter. What they brought to this country since I've been here, pick your size paper towels.
Like it. How about free drinks, free refills?
Oh no.
I guess you wouldn't make money on that though. That would not be a good thing.
No drinks. Barely any ice. But they got rid of pay at the pump gas.
Okay.
Because the stores weren't making enough money in the little gas stations, right? And
they got rid of it. They eliminated it.
They eliminated it. They didn't roll it out. They got rid of it.
We don't even have that here. You have to go inside the store. It's madness.
Oh my!
Exactly.
Now, that seems crazy. Yeah. That seems crazy.
Apparently, they got the Netherlands too. No, because there's only a few gas station chains, and at least 2 of them are owned by grocery stores.
Oh, you need to get involved. You need to take up the cause. I don't ever want to go in the grocery store.
There are a lot fewer gas stations too.
That may be a reason to buy an electric car. Have to actually go in the gas station and pay. Forget it. That puts it over.
And you know what? I spend a lot more money in gas stations.
Well, I'm sure, right? You just, I need myself some Vegemite. I need that Vegemite sandwich.
They don't sell that anymore. Well, they probably do.
I need a Foster's beer, a shrimp on the barbie, and a Vegemite sandwich. I'll get that at the local gas station.
Unlike America, I would eat shrimp at a gas station here.
That's crazy. Although we have barbecue at the gas station, which every time I take someone to
I used to get breakfast tacos.
Every time I was like, when people are from out of town, I'm like, no, seriously, we're eating there. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, it'll be fine. You'll be fine once you get there.
So, I think next time I want to be in Austin. Hopefully we'll have a conference. So there'll be some of my European coworkers, and I'll be like, check this out. I'm going to blow your mind 3 times in one place. And we'll go to Rudy's there. And be like, one.
Oh, the one over on 360.
We'll be like, one. Well, no, 4 times. I'm going to blow your mind. 1, we can pay for gas at the pump with an American Express card. That's twice. Boom, blew your mind.
And they don't just give you a 0.5% surcharge for using a credit card.
That's right. And then 2, we can walk inside and get some pretty good barbecue. We can just buy it. And then 4, wait for it. Do you need to use the bathroom? Did you forget to bring a €50 piece? No problem. They don't charge you to leave your pee with them. They're happy to take it. Just free bathrooms.
They're just glad you came inside and spent some money.
That's right. Well, listen, if you're in a country that has free refills, you gotta have free bathrooms. I think that goes hand in hand, right? I mean, that's
I think that mystery is solved. That's why bathrooms are so sparse, and cost to use in Europe is also no free refills.
No one, everybody's thirsty, so no wonder they have to come.
Yeah, they have the little beers, everything. That's the whole system's engineered around
the little beers, the tiny beers.
The gas station coffee beers here is actually good.
Whoa.
Everyone's a barista.
Are the toilets free?
Yeah.
Man, Australians, they're on the right trajectory.
They've got some things figured out. Yeah. I got my son, my 17-year-old, he got his first COVID shot last night, so that was good. And when we went in, he did the whole the check in, sign in, and then he was like, "This is really efficient," because when we were going in, he's like, "I'm a little nervous about bureaucracies." He's like, "They always mess everything up." Like, no, this place, they're dealing with so many people, they want to get it right. It's like 6,000 people a day walking through here. Right?
Well, I'll tell. This reminds me of something that is a bizarre, Netherlands thing. So when you get your shots here, they give you this printout. It's in color. It's like a color printout, and it just says when you got your shot and which one and some other stuff, and it has this weird little certificate-looking thing with the government seal on it, and someone signs it in pen, just like a piece of paper.
Weird.
And then you get that you get another one when you get your second one, and then if you what it says on it is it says this is not a certificate, and then it says this is to prove that you have gotten shots and you can use it if you need proof, and this is not a certificate, and then everyone's like, and I would say if I lose this, what do I do? And they're like, don't lose this. I don't think you can get another one, and then this is not a certificate. And you just I don't then can I have that on my phone? With everything else that the government stores and how centrally managed it is, it's sort of can't you just add a column in a database that's yes? And then we also have an app here that has some giant QR code on it. And yet I have this piece of paper that I can't ever lose that is not a certificate. I have no paper. Yeah, it's just weird. I don't understand what the deal with that is.
I've got the Service New South Wales app here. It's got my driver's license. It's the same app I use for checking in when I enter any business. It's got my COVID vaccine and the dates on it. It's sent me notifications, reminders you need to check out of that place you checked into. Right. It has they had some stimulus money for restaurants, and they sent me the vouchers on here. Yeah,
it's got coupons, my health ID.
It's got coupons. It's got my health care. It's linked to
my taxes reward card. It's just all right. Hey, let's get going because I want to make sure I have time.
So now, Matt Ray, does that mean you can go within 5 kilometers of your house now?
No, the lockdown is tighter than ever. You have permission to go to a vaccination center. I remarked to my son, I was like, this is the first time I've left our local government group in 2 months. So, I hadn't gone anywhere for 2 months, and we have at least another month of it.
Oh, crazy. I went to Dusseldorf this week.
All right, that's good to hear. Are we ready to get going? That's a good break.
Brandon's hot to trot.
Yeah, I got to get going today. So just
All right. I think, let's see. Series H. Yep. A data lake house. Oh, that's funny.
I think, bait and switch. That's what I wanted to talk about.
All right. Whoa, we've got a lot of suggested titles here so far. All right. We can start with that, and then maybe we can talk about AWS stuff. I think that's fun. And we could talk about COBOL and platform.
We don't need to talk about COBOL. It's The funny thing is,
wanted to promote your stuff. You had the.
Yeah. I guess I could talk about it, but it's like we don't.
Same for Coté. Do you want to talk your Tanzu?
Yeah, we can mention.
I mean, it's up to you guys.
Yeah. Of course,
your day jobs.
I mean, I'm waiting for them to finally buy ads on this podcast. I don't understand.
Can't understand. Just providing you a salary is not.
They're like, we just pay you, and
So.
No, you don't understand. That's a different accounting system. That's a different Coté.
We've got double blind accounting system. I don't know where all this money comes from.
Yeah. All right.
Just 2 ad breaks this week, Coté. So just
2. Oh man. Breaks.
Did they rename themselves and their check started bouncing?
I don't know. We did our best. I'll have to rename him.
They were Clubhouse.io. Now they're Bishopmore Sycamore.
Hopefully, Clubhouse.io will return and want to advertise themselves as Shortcut next time. I don't know.
Sycamore.
All right. Well, I'm ready. Are y'all ready?
Right. Yeah, whenever you're
ready as I'm gonna be.
All right. I need another round of consulting. I was finishing up dinner, lovely dinner that my wife made because I had to MC a track in the Spring One platform, perhaps going on right now, if people wanted to watch that instead of listen to this, or if you get a time machine, you can go back. And what I've noticed afterwards, I was trying to clean up some is, this is not a big shocker, but the dishes needed to be done. But it was like a day and a half of dishes, right? And
whoa.
Well, or maybe it wasn't. It's hard to know when there's we have 3 children and 3 adults. My mom has been visiting. So we have, 6 people. That generates a lot of dishes, basically.
And she doesn't do dishes?
Well, there's just dishes.
I'm kidding. She's a guest.
Yeah. The dog also doesn't pitch in.
It's your chance to show off for your mom.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of turning things around for me. But I've been trying to, you know how it is when you've learned about lean manufacturing and DevOps, and you try to do the who was the guy in Austin who did like lean laundry or something? Like you try to come up with like, I've got all this knowledge of how to optimize the flow of a system, and so much of just like housework is a flow through a system, right? Like you've got like laundry is just like moving stuff through a system. You've got like raising kids is just like a pipeline moving things through the system. But then
I would have guessed Boyd Hemphill.
That's right. Yeah, there you go. That's the one. And so I was thinking tonight about the dishes. There's some theories, I think, and this might be more of like your kind of Malcolm Gladwell turns out kind of, trickery. But there's got to be some like tricks to dishes. And so, for example, here is the one that I think is foundational. This is just purely Goldradian stuff. Is like, it turns out that a clean dishwasher is a bottleneck. All right. So once the dishwasher is clean, you got to get all those dishes out. It's actually a new problem has been created because if the dishwasher is clean, no one's going to put dishes in there because they're going to be like, oh, it's clean. Right. And so they'll just skip on doing it. So you got to empty that dishwasher as soon as possible. Otherwise, everything all clogs up into bottleneck. Now that one's obvious, but here's what I've been thinking is I have a new theory that if you're gonna optimize your dishes, you need to do the really big ones, right? Like if all you have a chance to do is like some drive-by dishwashing, like you should find the large ones because the large ones, I don't know how, but I feel like they clog the system, right? Like if you've got like 3 pots out there and a giant baking pan, it just somehow messes things up.
Yeah, they're always the bottleneck because you got the 3 large pans and you can only fit 2, right?
Yeah.
So you load those first, and then everything else fits around them. And that those extra hours or fill in your Kanban board or whatever. It's you leave the small ones because they're going to fit in the dishwasher next
but
time.
I do think there's some but times though where maybe the inverse is true, where you want to load all the small stuff, leaving yourself just like one big pot to wash by hand, right? Because sometimes you're like, oh, that pot's in there, and then you end up with a lot of stuff that look, well, I don't know if it volume wise, if it's more, it just looks worse because there's like more pieces, and you're like,
yeah.
That is,
I will
that's
say
interesting.
This is potentially a controversial take, depending on where you come down on the environment. I will say though, paper plates, incredible optimization around dishwashing. Right?
Yes.
So there is kind of
wait. I went up here eating out.
Now, well, I mean, checkmate, right? I mean, there's nothing I can say back to that. But assuming we constrain it to home, it's because you have the water and the energy to run the dishwasher versus the waste of a paper plate, and so you kind of have to figure this out, right, a little bit. But if you compost your paper plates, and it can be about as efficient as it gets, right? You just all you're left with are maybe some silverware and a few dishes, and it works well. So I think that, and also I do think there's some strategic to your thing about the empty dishwasher. It's like, I do think as a rule of thumb, if you're like, I wonder if the dishwasher's full enough to run it. If you're kind of like teetering, always run it. Like get the batch out, really, like get it out of the way, get it unloaded and prepared for the next one. Because no matter what happens, you're always like, ooh, ran out of space. Should have run it earlier. So I think if you ever feel that way, do the dishes right then.
Now this is
75%. You go.
I think this brings up a whole other abstract or a type of domestic abstract thinking, which is, I don't know. There's a certain level of like pipeline thinking where you do want to batch things opportunistically, right? Everyone has this dream of this single piece part. One thing goes through the whole system. I don't know. I think like the BMW plant in Mick Kirsten's book does that or something. I forget, but like, I also feel like maybe there's too much batching that goes on in like home cleaning, right? And laundry is an example of that. Like maybe you should just like wash all the clothes every day. Like you just have like every day there's a wash, but it still. Yeah, just whatever's there, how little or however much has to like go through the cycle. And then the other thing, and there must be, I have around here somewhere some textbook called Lean Mathematics, and maybe I need to study it because I want to do a proof. I don't know the answer, but I want to somehow prove out if you should only do one wash in the laundry and then put it in the dryer. And until it comes out of the dryer, folded, put up, you can't do another wash. Is that better or worse than if you're just constantly going through the system? You see what I mean? Like we want
but then you could have like through there. Multiple baskets of clean stuff to sort at the end. So you could, consume those at the end. That's fine.
I mean, this is what I'm saying is my sense is that you want like to optimize flow through the system, not batching.
Oh, yeah.
So for example, another thing would be, I shouldn't really talk about this because I don't really do the laundry around here. So, I should pick something else, but like it's executed well here, but I think I reflect on it, not in that way, but as a way of thinking about batch stuff. Like
that's why this is abstract thinking.
Is it better to, so let's say you have a laundry room and you have a big pile of clean clothes and you're like, I want a big pile because I want to sit there and fold it all at once. And then I fold it all at once and then I take it and put it up all at once. Or is it better like once it comes out of the dryer, I fold it all and then I put it away, right? See how it's a typical like bottleneck thing where there's all these stages where you're like, what is it? You're staging up your inventory or something before you go to the next one? Or do you just take what you have and flow it through there? Just like Brandon was saying, maybe you should just be washing the dishwasher just always. Like just the dishwasher should constantly be running. Like you just put a dish in there.
Well, tying this back to the real world of enterprise software. I actually had this conversation the other day. I was like, there's no point to doing batch anything. What are you waiting for? everything, are you waiting for it to get up to a certain size so you can process it? I mean, everything can work through accumulators and you can keep running averages. It's like, why in this day and age, why are there still batch computing jobs? That's, I mean, unless you're like, oh, I'm going to run my, scientific experiment, but most enterprises are not scientific experiments, right?
Yeah. Or laundry machines like process. But I think there's something to Brandon's thinking with the dishes it's hard to find out if it's clever or just a rewording of the core problem, right? So the cleverness would be that the important, like keeping the flow of dishes going is all about frequency. So even if you just wash one spoon, if someone just comes by and they just wash one spoon, then the flow is going instead of like thinking you're going to do it all in a batch, right? However, I think maybe the core problem with the dishes getting done is that people just don't do it. That's the batch mentality. Is like, we can do a big batch. It's just that you need to do it. And maybe this is maybe I'm seeking out like the Numi plant revelation when really it's just like I got a bunch of unionized people with with oppressive managers who don't collaborate with them, and they're just expecting well, instead of optimizing stuff, why don't you just do the fucking dishes, right? And it's just like, oh man, this is a toxic culture where there's no way we're going to be high performers with these dishes.
You gotta take the and-on chain away from your kids.
All right, good. There's several good edit points in there. I'll pick one of those.
That's how he's gonna cut me out.
I'm gonna cut you out. I think I really like the problem is people just don't do it. The dishes or something like that. I'm like, that's fucking nuts. That's it. It's like I don't care what Matt says. Matt's gonna have to come in hard. Matt's gonna have to say something like phenomenal, and he didn't. He didn't. I mean, it is. I mean, hey, what can you do when perfection's been set? There's nothing else to say. You just don't do it because you know what? I was like, that is the problem with dishes. Like people don't do them. Yeah, exactly. I was like, all right. Who are we? Strong DM. That's who everyone should be. Go check out our friends at Strong DM. It'll help make you more secure. Tell them your friends at Software Defined Talk sent you.
Strong DM, always a great supporter.
long time sponsor. Love them. Boom. Okay. 25. How long's your mom staying? She's been over there for a while, huh?
Yeah, she's leaving on the 19th.
I thought you were gonna say because she's coming from Europe, she can't go back to the US.
I was gonna say that was actually my question. Maybe she can't come home, but she's been. That's nice. That's a nice long. Hopefully, it's a nice long visit. I mean, it sounds like
it is. It is very nice.
Because I was actually telling JJ today that your daughter has never been to the United States, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then he was like, "Oh, she's a Dutch citizen." I'm like, "No, I think I asked this question, so it doesn't work like that." And then we had the whole conversation about, evidently, where you're born,
citizenship.
It doesn't. That actually doesn't apply everywhere. Like we think it, Americans, we think that, but that's not how it works. So long discussion there.
Yep. That's. I'm sure there's another country, but I feel like America's probably the only place that does that.
When's Matt coming back? I'm like, I think Matt's never coming back. Is what I told him. That was mine. Well, I think never is what I would guess.
Yeah, Matt's worried about getting shot now. More so.
Getting a shot or getting shot?
Getting shot. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Coming back is getting less likely, but whatever.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it.
Yeah, I think that I was going to mention this. The systems guy here says, if you he doesn't say this, but I was thinking if I go down this optimization path too much, I'm going to have 5 washer and dryer sets because that would optimize the experience, and I could probably put together a pretty good spreadsheet for ROI over 40 years.
I do. I don't know. I felt like you're on a good roll. I don't want to interrupt, but I do think what works. I really only do the laundry of the one load. Or let me say it this way: keep like for example, every person should do if they don't do their own load, just do a load for that person because that minimizes sorting. Because I think sorting is an incredible time suck on the process. Like when you get in your situation, what'd you say? You have 6 people in your house now, right? So that's like a 6-way sword. I don't know, man. Like this is getting complicated, right? So, but if it's just like, okay, kid 1, kid 2, kid 3, and it's like, obviously there's some potential waste in that, but I don't know. I find in my house that works the best. Like it just goes so much faster when it's like that.
Yeah.
I think communal laundry.
I think the dad rat is just like, oh, or you could just fucking do it. Like I think that's
well, that's always going to be the thing, right? Like people don't do it anyway. We're gonna do a whole podcast on laundry one day. Maybe that'll be during the Christmas episode. Slow news time. We're just gonna dive into this.
The laundry podcast brought to you by the guys who don't do laundry.
No, forget ask me anything. It's like, I'm just gonna go deep on this laundry queuing theory. All right, Coté, whenever you're ready.
All right. Well, once again, it seems like the infrastructure software world is up in arms that a company's trying to make some money over there in Docker land. I think now there's 2 things to remark about this. One of them is just a throwaway thing of just like, they got to make some money, and it just is. There is a bit of it is kind of a bummer when something that was free now you have to pay for. However, it seems like in the software world we are particularly complaining about it. Like, I mean, it's almost like, I don't know. I don't even know an analogy, but what I found, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but somehow they figured out writing up licensing, and the enforcement of this is what I'm really interested in. That what is it? If your company has 10 million
or above, right?
Oh, yeah. I was trying to say the other way. If you have 9,999,099 cents or whatever, like, or less revenue, you can get it for free.
Yep.
And when I read that, I was just imagining poor salespeople who get into debates with companies about what their revenue is, especially if they're private companies. Or I wonder if this is written into their agreement, if they're a subsidiary of another company, right? So could you make a subsidiary? Could IBM be like,
well, wait a minute, shouldn't we just translate this to what they're saying is like the Fortune 3000 and everyone $50 million and above.
Yeah,
like no one's going to, and maybe just to recap the news. So what is the news here is that Docker Desktop, or formerly known as Docker Desktop, you now have to pay for it. The personal license is $0. So nothing, still free for small companies under 10 million, as Coté was saying. And then pros, $5 a month per user. Team is $7 and business is $21. So I don't know. I mean, I had a hard time getting worked up over this one. I felt like, I don't know. It feels like there was a lot of outrage, but I was like, it seems fine. It didn't. But
people don't like, time and time again, we've talked about this. People don't like it when you take something that was free and now you charge for it. Or it's free. It's still free, but now it's not free for everybody, as the case may be. I mean, this is like the whole CentOS thing again. Well, maybe not, but I mean, do you think there are going to be people who are like, oh, we finally crossed the threshold. Now we're going to start paying for Docker, right? That'll be like the new.
There's the guy in accounting's like, oh, just went over the 9 million.
He's got some spreadsheet set up. It's got like a little box that turns green. It's like time to pay that.
But maybe the thing you're hitting on, Matt, is maybe the better. It's like putting aside the second, like it's annoying, right? I think to your point, like everyone hates this was free. A little bit, some people call it a bait and switch. Other people like just say this is a good business practice. But I think that's the better question to ask is like, this doesn't seem like it's going to generate that much money. Like that's the bigger thing to me. It's like you're doing all of this and you're creating some ill will that I think they'll manage. I don't think it will like be too big of a.
But there's probably they're going to be hitting up these big banks that have like 5,000 seats of developers, right? And so they'll be like, oh, you need to pay us $21 a seat. Or, we'll cut you an enterprise deal and we'll call it 15. But, it's if they can hit those sorts of places that'll buy like a site license, I think that's what they're shooting for.
Sure.
Now, hold on. Let's do some math here. So what did you say it was?
Oh, man, math?
20 a month?
For the business license, $21 per month.
Okay, so we got
5,
21,
7, or 21, depending on what you're trying to get there.
Let's just say 21 a month, right? For what do we get? This is monthly, right? So 21 a month. That yearly, I'm doing this spreadsheet right now.
You got a spreadsheet. We're gonna do some screen sharing, watch some Excel in action.
Okay, so we're talking $252. Wait, why $252? $252 a year.
21, yeah.
Now let's say you're one of these. Let's say so you over 10 million. Yeah. Let's do 500, 5,000, and then let's go up. The highest number I've ever heard is J.P. Morgan Chase having 20,000 developers. So let's put that in there, and let's just spread this out.
You think J.P. Morgan Chase is gonna put Docker in the green?
I don't know. Now, when you do fixed references in Excel, you put a $sign, ironically, for our thing in front of the thing, right? Because we're gonna do the old copy paste.
This is exciting.
Excel tutorial,
The sounds of Excel,
Do a little D. We're gonna do a reference to D1. Now I'm gonna spread this out here. Now, hold on, gentlemen. I need to add in some formatting here because I can't read without.
You don't have to format it. We can't see it. Come on.
Man, I tell you, the investment bankers are going to be very disappointed with us.
I'm just trying to
banking. The Excel TikTok people are going to be making fun of us that we didn't.
So here we go.
We're streaming. This is prime Twitch content.
So, I guess I could share my screen.
What's the number?
Tell us the big numbers.
So
is this a good idea or not?
For 500 developers, you're looking at an income of $126,000 a year.
Right.
Now, for 5,000, you're looking at 1.26 million.
Okay. Right.
For 20,000, a cool $5 million a year.
Right. And then we can start discounting that, right? We'll just say there's probably some like 10, 20, 30% discount.
50% discount. Yeah, sure.
Depending on where you're at. So
okay. Now let's figure you got how many? Let's say there's probably 100 banks in the world that are big.
Sure.
I mean, there's more banks than that.
Say the Fortune 500. Say the Fortune 500. Say, okay, there's 500 companies. Make some guess there.
All right. Let's say Fortune 500s each have 5,000 developers or 10,000.
Sure. Why not?
What do you want to go for?
Go 5,000. I think that's enough.
5,000.
I mean, to throw some grit in the equation, like I was reminded from the Twitch stream here. Most banks don't allow their developers to do anything locally.
I think just go ahead. Put 5,000 in just to use it.
All right. So if we got the Fortune 500, so 500 times 5,000.
Yeah.
Wait, 500 times that amount is we're looking at $630 million right there.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know when you do it when we run the numbers seems and then let's just take a 50% discount across that whole number and say it's 300 million. So I'm sure these are probably the numbers they went through and said, okay, so you got $300 million of annual recurring revenue coming in. And so that probably is
now. And how much revenue are we losing from this? Oh, zero.
Now, hold on. Yeah, that's true. Now, hold on. We took the Fortune 500. Now that's just, let's hire a VP of EMEA and a VP of APJ. You know what we just did? We went to the Global 2000. Now we're looking at 2.5 billion. That's how much we're going to clear.
So target addressable
before discount
significantly.
Now, run your numbers again. Is that everyone on the planet now has a Docker license?
Yeah. But I think you was it you, Matt Ray? I think maybe you nailed it. Is how much money are we going to lose doing this? None. Right? Because
money. None money. We
currently get nothing, so we might as well try to charge for it and. See what we.
So I think the opportunity cost then, and if we're in the room, is like, okay, well, you think that numbers we just came to, whether they're right or wrong, it's sort of like that's probably something the whole organization feels like we can go start trying to get today, and then the opportunity cost would be like, well, we could either do that or we could build something new, keep this free, and then try to sell it to our community that we've created all this goodwill to, all the adjacent product that's explicitly launched as a paid product, a paid subscription. And that we're going to use the Docker Personal or Docker Desktop previously as our lead gen for that new thing. So that would be the questions.
I want to suggest, I'm trying to get better at sports. I want to try out. Tell me if we can work this analogy in here.
Okay, let's do it.
Maybe when you get a lot of value out of open source and you don't use it, it's kind of like getting a lot of value out of like college athletes who aren't like really getting paid that much and they don't get to participate in all this value around them. So it's kind of like, hey, if you're getting so much value out of this, like you should probably be paying for it. Otherwise, it's just like there's something's wrong with the relationship here, right? Like, so all these, if you're making money off of using Docker Desktop, right, then like something's a little weird, right? Like you're free riding on the effort of this community, and the fact that you're using it isn't necessarily like payment. Maybe in aggregate it's payment, but it's kind of like, it's almost like the old change bank thing, except, it's just users. It's like, we have 10 million users, and these users don't pay for anything, but we've got lots of users. And in aggregate, the users are very valuable to us. The community is very valuable. And when we need to, get money, suddenly they're not there. They
oh, hey, I forgot my wallet back in the community. I mean, I think we solved this Docker thing. I think it sounds like we're on board, but I want to talk about the Wirecutter and what's going on there. That is.
Let's set the stage first, Matt. Give us some news. What was the change?
Listeners of the show may be familiar with the Wirecutter, but if you're not, the Wirecutter is like a modern day Consumer Reports style website where they get a bunch of experts together to review products of every stripe and give you their unvarnished, unbiased opinions about what the best toaster is, the best office chair, mouse pad, you name it, they've probably reviewed it. The model was working as referrals. They'd be like, well, we've decided that this is the best toaster. Go buy it on Amazon and we'll get 2% off your next purchase. And that was their affiliate model was working for them. New York Times bought them for a boatload of money, said they weren't going to move, they weren't going to change the business plan.
$30 million, yep. Mm-hmm.
$30 million for the free website. And now they're putting it behind the firewall, the paywall.
The paywall.
So
hopefully that's behind the firewall. Now, I will say, I did a little reading here. The one thing that it did say, at launch, readers will get 9 free Wirecutter articles a month before being asked to pay for a subscription. Article. So you get 9 free, right? And then, of course, if you're already a subscriber to the New York Times, it's just, it's thrown in there. But you get, so I think the headline, like, I don't know, 9 free a month. 9
free is better. I had it maybe once. Maybe I think I'm probably in the half that number a month. Yeah.
So you would really, if it kind of feels like that feels right, then it's like, okay, how many toasters are you going to buy in a month, right? You read the toaster, you get, you click on the link, and you're on your way, right? So
yeah, well, they got to be careful of that counting though, because you leave that browser tab open, you're like, I've been thinking about a toaster for a while, and that tab's been open for like a month, and every time your browser restarts or refreshes, then you're like, damn it, I can't get in to look at my toaster anymore. What was it? Yeah, it was the Black & Decker.
That's right. It's the Vitamix. So I don't know. I didn't also too, like I already had the New York Times. It's already made my subscription list. So therefore I'm like, I didn't feel like any actual pain. It's like, oh, fine. I've already paid for this. So I'm the worst person to ask, but it didn't seem unreasonable to me. I was like, okay, you get 9 free if you're going more than that. And then of course you can subscribe just to this. You don't have to subscribe to the full on digital New York Times thing if you don't want. So it didn't seem unreasonable to me. But
I think it's I think what it makes me think of is that I feel like we are seeing, I don't know who we is, the consumers, we are seeing and probably will see a lot more like bundling behind. I'm not going to, instead of saying a paywall, for customers, right? Like what? It's very rare that you refer to like, Kindle or Amazon Prime or Netflix as behind a paywall. Right? Like, it's just like, no, you just pay for it. It's like, it's behind a business wall is the way they operate. And, similarly, when you sign up for Amazon Prime, you just get all this stuff, right? And so it's a bundling together of things. And it would make sense. I think I'm no Ben Thompson, but it seems like if you're a brand like the New York Times, one of the things you can trade off of is a large existing customer base, and then also just brand. And so you can just keep attaching, just like Amazon, you can just keep attaching stuff to it. And then next time, I subscribe to the New York Times too, and I think about canceling it all the time. I know Kim reads it, but I'm just like, if I want to go get
value here.
Yeah, it's like if I want to go get depressed, I can do that for free by looking at the dishes in the kitchen. I don't need to like pay for a subscription to like depress myself every day. And so like, However, and if you keep adding more and more things, then it's kind of like Amazon. It's like, yeah, I just get all this stuff. I pay for it. I don't even think about it. Now, that does make me wonder, why do you have to pay extra for those fun little games they have at the New York Times? Didn't you recommend that, Brandon? That seems like
I do.
the
the
bundling strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there should just be one fee, and it's like, why do I got to pay more for this stuff? And
I think there is, but like you're right. But when you do the math, I mean, this is like the problem with all subscriptions. There's like, I don't know, there's like 3 or 4 different subscriptions, and it really should just be one. Like, I'm going to pay you this amount and just give me everything, right? Don't make me build a spreadsheet to figure out which one of these things makes the most sense.
Yeah. I think maybe what needs to happen is like Apple should buy the New York Times, and then I might consider buying the full Apple One thing, right? That might actually like make a lot of sense.
Or Disney. They'll just throw it into your Disney Plus subscription. Yeah.
There you go. Now we're talking. Well, I do think both of these things, it is a little bit interesting because like the market ultimately will decide. So in the case of Docker, right, if there really is a viable business around free there, that seems like somebody will do it. I saw several people recommend Rancher. Rancher has some type of desktop thing. I've never done it. I don't know. I just saw people talk. So that seems like one solution. So maybe if you're a Rancher, this is your time to go out there and like, you try to take over that Docker desktops a place. And then the same thing on the Wirecutter review site. I guess there are a few competing sites. And if you can make a standalone business that just makes money off affiliates, again, it seemed like this is your perfect time to do it, right? Because I mean, the playbook is there. Like, and I think most of these writers, when you read like who writes it, it's often like a contractor, like somebody who's an expert in toasters or blenders, right? They clearly write the articles on like a contract, what they call it in freelance, right? It seems like they're writing the article in freelance for the Times. So it seems like you could
demand
quickly,
media style.
Yeah, you could quickly. It seems like you could do something very similar, right? You could create this, and then I just thought, like, well, Amazon or Walmart, like, it seems like they would be the beneficiaries of this. Like, just have a site that is just constantly reviewing everything, and because they're often the affiliate, right? So it's like they don't. I mean, does it even matter to Amazon? Like, who cares what's recommended? They're just going to care that they.
Nobody trusts Amazon reviews anyway, though. So
yeah, I agree.
They've already poisoned that well.
That's what I think. So, but I think if there was like a separate, I mean, this seems like the thing that you would start like, okay, we're going to a separate company, completely editorial independence, and just be like, write on everything because we know the traffic it generates is going to go back to Amazon for us.
It could be like the Cisco spin out, spin in model, right? Like, oh, we're going to set up, we're going to, have this, we're going to give them a $30 million A round to go launch a referral site. But yeah, that would work.
But I do think the reviews, to your point, like it would be interesting if someone at Amazon, I'd love to hear what they say. If the position is, no, the reviews already provide all of this, we don't need to do it. But because I think your point is like the Amazon reviews, like you have to, I mean, it's like its own AI reading the Amazon reviews to see if it really if they're accurate, if they look fake, how many, I mean, there really is like everybody that uses Amazon almost has their own algorithm to determine if the reviews are good or bad. I assume that at least at this point.
Yeah, they got to apply that one of the 54 values, just customer usefulness, to those a little more stronger.
That's to defeat AI.
All right, good. 46.
Yeah, the dog was howling like crazy in the back.
It's all right. I got it. I can get it. I can edit it out now. I got the 3 tracks.
Wow. Is the dog done?
Yeah, the dog's done. He was scratching my door. Yeah, somebody said remember Consumer Reports. Yeah, they're still around.
So the syncing up works, Brandon?
Yeah. On this one, that's what I did last time. I did the 3, and I actually could edit out some crosstalk. So I'll try to edit out the dog here. I even wrote it down. 43 minutes dog barking. So there you go. We'll see.
Nice.
And if you want to learn more about dog barking, it's not really a segue, but you could you might go to CBT Nuggets where they'll teach you lots of tech things so that maybe you too can go out and buy a new puppy and have the dog in your house like Matt does. Matt loves that dog, even though he complains about it. We know deep down you love the dog. I don't know. Maybe you don't love the dog. I have no idea. I mean, I thought that was a chance for you to like.
There's a daily tally of how much has this dog cost me and something chewed up today. He hit his 4th retainer. He loves those things. But the dentist is now charging us a bulk rate, so only $150 for this one.
Oh, that's rough. The dog.
This week, he chewed up all the. We have some night lights in the hall, so people can see, so they don't have to flip on all the lights. He chewed those off the walls. So nothing is safe.
Man, it's painful.
There's like a metaphor in there of like, get developers excited and then operations people have to take care of it. It's like, you get kids excited about the dog and then the parents end up having to like do everything. And
Yep. I was in the Zoom puppy training by myself.
Yeah. Just
thanks, kids.
Oh, hold on, let me write that down. That's a great. I was in the Zoom. That's gonna be too long. I was in the Zoom puppy training. Oh, possible after show right there. Puppy training by myself. Feel for you, man. I'm fighting off the desire for a new dog in my family. I don't know how much longer I can win, but
get one that's a 9 months old or a year.
They're definitely
cheaper. And they're going to be past
everybody's
the
on
worst
board
parts.
with that. Nobody in my family wants a puppy.
No, you should go through this. What you should do is you should buy one of those Pebble ice machines instead. Right? and then every time you think about a dog, go get some Pebble ice and be like, I'm okay for now. I've got this good ice and I'm cool. And it's just like, it'll remind you that like now you don't have to go walk the dog. Now you don't have to
listen. I'm in. The rest of the family, I don't know. They feel the need for the dog. So we'll see. We'll see if I can how long I can hold out.
Yeah,
All right, Coté, whenever you're ready.
All right. Well, I think Matt Ray and his company went through a rite of passage. They figured out how to run COBOL on Kubernetes. I think this is so far as I can tell an exclusive club of no SSH JJ and also Trigger Mesh. So I think what I'm looking forward to is next week IBM is going to announce they've acquired Trigger Mesh, I think, to solve the COBOL problem. And listen, you need to tell your board, Matt Ray, when it comes to COBOL, I mean, it's either IBM or like Micro Focus or something, right? So you got to make your choices.
I did find myself. So I wrote up this article about running COBOL and Knative serverless, and at one point I had multiple browser tabs open to Micro Focus's documentation. I was like, "What is wrong with this language? These variables don't make any sense." But you know what? Yeah. I can now add COBOL to that list of languages I've coded in professionally. But it was more of a proof of concept. And to be fair, I was not the original author. One of our developers did all the heavy lifting. I just had to fix some COBOL bugs.
So we might need to have a special episode at some point where you and the developer come here, so we can really just find out. Maybe we'll get JJ on here. We'll really just find out things about COBOL. But I want to do a little preview. Tell me in so much you spend a brief amount of time with the COBOL, and what does COBOL want, Matt Ray? Like I'll give you like Java really wants you to make objects and hide the implementation. It wants this facade of what it looks like on the outside, and then there's no
forethought like that. Yeah.
Java also wants a really slow startup. Like Java needs to get some coffee just so it can go make coffee, right? Like it's that kind of thing. But with COBOL, what are we looking at here? What does COBOL want?
COBOL came about before they thought of those things. They're like, hey, we're going to slap a language together and it's going to need this. All right. We're going to need a thing called an integer. No. We won't call it an integer. We'll call it the integer was a unsigned integer, but let's say you want to float. You're like, oh, we'll call it a float. No. We're going to call that a comp one. A what? Oh, no. It's actually going to need to be double precision. Double precision? Comp 2. You're like, wait, how am I supposed to figure these things out? I found like this COBOL to programming language translator that helped me debug the things. And then, of course, the problem was it was a typo. It wasn't the language's fault. It was like, oh, that was supposed to be arg3 when it was arg2.
Yeah, that seems universal to all programming languages. Oh, that was a typo. It seems like it applied to but every conceivable programming language.
And COBOL was the original white space is useful or important to the language, where everything is indented a certain number of characters. Now, one of my earliest programming languages was Fortran, and there was a version of Fortran where the first 6 spaces was reserved, and you would put, depending on which column you were in, was what that variable type was.
Oh, right.
I mean, it's just weird, archaic crap like that.
Is it the Python? I mean, are the Python programmers like really? They're really in favor of this white space? Like, I always feel like, well, this is just wrong. Like the white space thing is just wrong.
No, it's significant because they don't have.
Is there a group of people that are like, no? The like any type of like arcane coding arguments? It's like, is there a faction of people like I really like always the white space?
There's always a faction.
People are like, yeah, it's really good to like be looking at my editor and like not realize that space is like, oh, I'm off by one, or I forgot one.
Or
like
somebody put a tab instead of a.
But someone's like, no, this is a better way to do it. This is legitimately a better way. I don't know. I need to find that argument. I need someone to like send me that Medium article where it's like, oh, this is why that's really good.
Just think of all the mental horsepower spent on like spaces as formatting when they could have been figuring out the optimal dishwashing algorithm. Right? You could have such a wider positive effect on humanity instead of the spaces. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Spaces, no spaces.
STP firmly against Python.
I thought you were going to say
no. Let's hold on. We don't want that kind of backlash. I get it. Python.
No. There are actually a lot of benefits to just having that sort of brute force convention. I mean, it works for Go. It works for Python. It cuts off all sorts of other bugs. All your programming looks the same. I mean, Coté and I go back to the Perl days. Man, it was like a free for all. So maybe the Python.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, Matt. Where do I come down? I just assume everyone's against this white space, but maybe I'm making Matt, are you in favor of it?
Actually, having worked in an enterprise with other developers, you need to enforce that convention. I mean, and you may recall working at a startup where there were fights between two of the engineering directors over formatting of our Java, and they'd go in and commit different style checkers on top of each other at BMC. So from week to week, the formatting of our Java code would change because these two engineering managers couldn't agree. And it was just like, come on, people.
But I felt like this is where we've gotten with all the various code, like Visual Studio. I mean, they've got like a plugin for everything, right? I mean, you can do it. And it's like, you just pick what you want, hit the formatting tool plugin that you like, and it just, boom, it just makes it the way you want. So that's why I always feel like, let's just get beyond the spaces thing. It's like, you can just find your own, the way that you like it, do it. And then if I'm working on it, I'll just run my formatter on it and I'll do it my way.
But to be clear, I am not advocating going back to COBOL.
not happening.
Well, no. I think at least we have for Legacy Conf, we now have 3 talks, right?
For me?
Hold on. In the COBOL track, we've got JJ is going to have to do a talk, and I think now, and then you and the programmer will have to do a talk. And now here's the magic of getting talks. Then we have a panel. You got 2 people. You throw them on a panel afterwards.
And to be fair, AWS put out a very extensive set of blog posts on COBOL, right? Ooh. On Lambda. So this is not new ground. I mean, this I wish I was some sort of we were some sort of pioneer, but it's like, if you want to put this stuff up on Lambda, it's there for the taking. And I write like a 6-page or 6-paragraph blog article because I'm like, that should be enough, right? You don't want to bog it down. The Amazon one was like 2 articles with about 40 paragraphs on the history of COBOL. It was insane. I
got to go see if those CBT Nuggets people have some COBOL lessons. Because that's what. Now let me ask you this one potentially last thing is. So if we're in the realm of, I assume the kids still call it serverless. But your serverless Lambda Knative thing, like does COBOL
want
to be serverless? Does that work?
It's not that bad. Yeah. I mean, if it's not that hard. I think the problem with the COBOL is like, it's going to be hard to extricate it from the web that it probably lives in. Right. It's
like its own
runtime. It's part of that strangler pattern where you have to find like, what is the one thing I can pull out of this that does something? And honestly, I'm not sure there's going to be that much COBOL you can pull out like piecemeal like that. It's probably tied, really big systems, but it's part of that strategy. So,
well, I could imagine if you had a really like heinous hairball of COBOL that like calculated something for you, right? Like 3 decades of COBOL that's calculating how much your insurance you can sell that day, by going through all this stuff, then maybe you would extract that out into some serverless thing. And so that your like reactive web app on Alexa or whatever could like, get access through it.
That. The voice enabled reactive web app.
Yeah. I mean,
hold on, Matt. Tell us, tell me if this is possible. What about, it seems like COBOL, right? You have some weird calculation in COBOL, probably on a mainframe now, right? Let's assume that for a second. So is the potential use case here, could I just wrap a call in a little serverless function that basically says, okay, invoke this serverless function, this Lambda, and then that behind the scenes will go out and connect up to the mainframe, do the strangler pattern, run the routine, get back the necessary data I wanted, or is that just going to be too slow? I mean, is that just not going to work?
Yeah, that was for this example, we're actually just taking a COBOL program and wrapping it in Go, so it had like an API, but. Your version is assuming that there's some sort of API into this COBOL system, and it's like, you know what? If you have an API, you've got a contract, and you can move that off.
Yeah,
most of those systems.
Done.
Most of those systems like predate that, right?
So, you have like some 3270 like screen scraper thing. You have to like invoke and then parse it.
Yeah, I mean, but the cool thing is like after going through this little exercise, I kind of realized like. Pretty much any language could be wrapped this pattern, right? So it's like, your company sitting on a boatload of Smalltalk or something, or Lisp or, some older language that, like, how am I going to get this off that box? With the C bindings, you could move just about anything, but where are you going to find the people to do it who want to do it, right?
I think Coté, once upon a time, Coté, did you write the secure shell collector? I can't remember who did it, where they basically wrote, executed it, and then there's all the regular expansions. I don't know, maybe... for the right price, Coté is probably available. You could probably dust off some circa 2004 Java code, maybe. See if make that work. I don't know.
I once was a master of grepping, but no more.
That's true. The secret to systems management is knowing how to grep. That really is. That's all you really need to know.
Yeah. Well, my suggestion, you might want to, after the other thing you take to the board, Matt Ray, takes us to your branding person is, if you go further down this hole, I suggest the name of the COBOL product is Trigger Mesh with a bunch of Z's after it, just to kind of indicate the machines that you'll be working on. And see, that's a little joke there. Yeah.
It writes itself.
When you start using the AS400s, I got nothing for you. What you're gonna Trigger Mesh 400. That's what you need to call it. Small range. Also in related news, I think I mentioned as I mentioned for many months before this, my company had our Spring One conference. It may still be going on right now. I emceed a track that I helped put together. It was fun to see some of those talks and do little emceeing stuff. And we had a few announcements. The major new thing we have in beta is let me see if I got the branding right. The VMware Tanzu Application Platform, or TAP, as you could call it, which is this is not the official wording, but we have basically a tool chain and a layer that you put on top of your Kubernetes stuff to just make the developer, as we would say, experience better, but to fill in a lot of the gaps that developers have if they want to build their stuff on top of Kubernetes. And I was talking with one of my coworkers, and I was thinking that I'd have to run this by, because I feel like I am not an advocate, or not advocate. I'm not I haven't been really following the semantics and the semiotics and the ideas of this phrase developer experience. But I kind of think with a lot of this GitOps stuff, and there's this whole realm of like the stuff you add onto Kubernetes to make it better for developers. And my current theory is that what we really should be calling it is enterprise architecture experience. Like, I think the developers, like, they're cool. Like, they like things to help out. But like, it's also a lot of what comes into this stuff is a lot of enterprise architecture, just like putting up the guardrails, establishing patterns, like making it so that people can't customize how they're using their cloud native stuff, which sounds a lot like what enterprise architects do. But, EAX is harder to pronounce, I think, than DevX. EAX. I can't even say it very well. But we'll see. It's we'll see how it evolves over the next year. But it'll be fun to see what's going on there. There's this old wall of YAML term, and I actually our longtime friend of the show, Jordy, over there at Weaveworks. I was on Weaveworks podcast, which he hosts now, and we were talking about Kubernetes and the history of it. Hopefully that'll be out soon. It was fun talking about it and going through it. And I tried not to be my overly snarky, like overly dumb persona that I am here, but I did raise the point, like, that I think I raise here every now and then, is if there's this wall of YAML and it's so hard to use, like, maybe the Kubernetes community should fix that. But I think I was watching one of the keynotes from Craig McLucky, and he did a pretty good job explicitly saying, these are not his exact words, but he was like, we know it can be difficult to use when developers and people come to this and it's confusing, and we kind of never intended them to use it. So sorry about that.
Sorry. Yes.
This is for another set of people, and who I forget who I was talking with. It was someone, and I remember. It was one of our new teammates, Lee, who's joined our team from Weaveworks, and works on Kubernetes. And I raised this question to him, and he had a good retort. He was like, "Well, I mean, hard compared to what? Like, what's the alternative? Is that easier?" Which I think is a good way of looking at it. But anyways, if you're interested, you should go check out the Tanzu application platform thing. We've got all sorts of stuff layered in there. And I think for me, it's interesting to see not only what we're doing, but other people doing, is they're kind of like, to use the phrasing that I used for COBOL, to figure out like what Kubernetes wants from application developers, whether it actively wants it or just wants it by virtue of its nature, so to speak. I often think maybe Kubernetes doesn't want anything. It just wants to be left alone, not messed with.
Just wants to be free.
Just give me I think Lee put it funny when I asked him this. He said, I think it wants containers. It just wants you to give it containers. Just a Pac-Man of containers.
It wants the YAML.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Well, I think also, in brief news, it looks like there's something called a Series H, which I've never heard of. And,
Databricks.
H stands for a whole lot of money.
Oh, yes. That's all we need to say on that topic. I think you're right.
I think we should say, maybe we should just put a word out here. It's like Databricks has raised $1.6 billion in a Series H. And it looks like they are most well known for coining the term data lake, Lakehouse, I think is what it is.
Lakehouse, yeah.
And so I think it's interesting. So I don't know, maybe somebody wants to come on the show and explain exactly what a data lakehouse is and why it's different than a data warehouse and a data lake, which, I mean, I guess it's a combination of it from what I've read, but rather than just speculate about like something I don't really know about, it's like what clearly people are buying it, or maybe said another way, clearly venture capitalists believe in it. So
I feel like there must be a similar pattern. Our favorite pattern of APM gets reinvented over and over again, right? And like, I feel like for as long as I can remember, like there have been data warehouses, and everyone is always like, "Oh, data warehouses are terrible." and then there's another data warehouse. And so it feels like, can't we just like solve that problem? It seems like a persistent thing that there's always all this magic stuff coming into it. And there's something weird with the cycle of data warehouses that it needs to be reinvented all
right.
the time.
So someone hit us up in the Slack or, email me and tell us, come on and explain why Data Lakehouse is fixing the problems this Coté talked about.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, don't you just like put Oracle in front of it and it solves all your problems?
That will definitely, we did it. That will definitely get us someone to contact us right there. Done, Coté.
Well, do we have any bureaucracy this episode, Brandon?
We have a few things. So one, I want to thank, I sent some stickers to Nikita in Estonia. So it's always good to hear from our listeners in Estonia. And of course, if you want a sticker, all you have to do is send me an email at stickers@softwaredefinedtalk.com with your postal address, and I will be happy to send you a sticker anywhere in the world. Also, a little follow-up from last week's show. So we talked a little crypto. Always dangerous for us to talk crypto. So had some lively chatter in the Slack around all kinds of people. I'll call a few of them Andy, Rookie, Josh, Matt, Ryan. So I think there was consensus that maybe we don't have our crypto story straight. So, hey, fair enough. And I think it's always interesting. And I think one thing I did take away from it is kind of just chatting with everyone in there. It's like probably at this point, just talking like crypto, it's so big that you probably have to narrow down, just like, we were talking about data warehouses or something. You kind of have to narrow down what you're talking about, whether you're talking about like a specific coin or a specific NFT or something like that. So I appreciate everyone's feedback. We'll see what happens with crypto. I don't know. Like I said in the previous episode, I'm always kind of interested in what I'm missing out on. So I'll keep reading, if you will. And then finally, also want to call out Barton. He's a friend here, friend of the show, works at Dell. He's looking for a consultant product manager that can help them out with some cloud native offerings. And that position is remote at Dell. So I don't know, you probably work with Coté, at least in the broad ecosystem, at least for a little bit longer until VMware is officially its own company. But if you want a job, just go ahead and you can reach out to me or reach out to Barton directly, and I'm sure I'll be happy to tell you more about that opportunity. I
learned that Barton is an avid listener of the show. He made some references to lumber offhandedly, and I was like, "Whoa, that's kind of a deep pull cut there." Yeah. Yeah. So that's good for Barton. He's enjoying the show. Well, there's several conferences coming up. The spring one has already come up. So there you go. And but there'll be a lot of recordings to go watch. But next week, I'm going to be speaking remotely at the Devops Day Zurich. It's September 7th and 8th, and I'll be giving a metrics talk there. I don't think I'm doing a pre-recorded one, so it'll be live, which will be fun. And there's two more DevOps related things. There's DevOps World by Cloudbees, September 28th to 30th. I don't think we have a panel there. Maybe we should ask them if we could have one. That's what we need to start doing. What do you think? Just like if you want us to advertise your conference, we just need a panel. And they'll say, can you give us a title and abstract? And we'll be like, do you want an ad? Anyways. And then maybe actually the CEO Brandon is probably like, Coté, it would be better to be given money. That is much easier. But there's also DevOps Loop that I've helped put together. It's October 4th. There's a really great lineup there, totally free to show up to. There's that conference in Texas, January 17th to 20th. And then KubeCon is 11th to the 15th, and it'll be in person and also virtual, since that's necessary nowadays. So there's a lot of conferences going on. You can attend in various modes of presence. Is that what you call it? Presence? I was going to say reality, but I think it's, there must be a word for that if you're there or not. As always, you should join our Slack channel. All sorts of great stuff we go over there. Discussions, side conversations. There's a great little slide presentation. I think people have collaborated on it. Some funny nature pictures and little commentary with funny pictures of animals for tech nerd people thingies. So with that, Matt Ray, what do you have to recommend this week?
My pick this week is a series that I think it actually ended a few years ago, but I've been binge watching it lately. It's called Broad City. It was on Comedy Central. If I think the closest I could come up for a comparison was It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where you have a couple of completely unredeemable main characters. It's quite funny, quite raunchy, but if you're looking for something to fill up your watching queue, I highly recommend it. I laugh out loud at least once an episode.
How about yourself, Brandon? What do you have to recommend?
I think probably a few months ago I recommended just a wireless Qi charger.
I thought you were going to say you already recommended Broad City. I was like, God damn it,
no, I haven't. Can't say. I think maybe I don't know. I definitely didn't recommend it, so I can't. And I can't remember if I watched it or not. So I can't add to your recommendation at all. This week.
Good.
I'll take your word for it. But I did. So I had. I guess I'm all in here on maybe just cleaning up all the various wires I have in my house. So I ended up getting this one from my bedstand here, or nightstand. It's a 3-in-1. So as I guess if you just get more and more devices that you just kind of lay next to your bed to have to charge. So I've got my iPhone, I've got my Apple Watch, I've got my earbuds, and it's great. So it's 3-in-1. It let me get rid of a bunch of cables, and it's just a big mess over there. So I don't know. I'm surprised how happy these small little chargers make me. So I don't know if you find yourself with too many devices and too many lightning cables, and then check out this 3-in-1. What is it? Qi fast charging station. It was pretty cheap on Amazon, and it's brought me some small joy. I hope it brings you the same.
That's a handsome looking charging thing. Now, does the Apple Watch do wireless charging, or does it still need its own little funky charger thing?
No, well, this one you just, it has it included. It has the little magnet.
Oh, yeah.
So it has a little indentation. But yeah, you do have to there's no way to charge an Apple Watch without that, having that little fancy.
That seems so weird, like that, why they don't have that in there. And I mean, surely it can't be the conspiracy theory of wires, because I can't imagine that many people buy extra watch charging wires. So I don't know. They should just make it general charging. Well, I think this is probably a repeat recommendation, but I think it's good that I'll recommend it. So I recently reread and re-listened to this book that I really like called Short Life in a Strange World, about this guy who goes and visits as many Bruegel paintings as possible. Now, you might know Bruegel as, I think that's a Bosch painting, but it's not. It's its own type of painting. And, it's just this weird, memoir, idle thinking, and then also some art history book kind of all mixed together. And it's kind of delightful and relaxing to listen to. It has a lot of, I noticed in the second reading, he uses this little thing where he's listing a bunch of stuff, and then he just kind of wraps it up by going, and so on. And I think that phrase kind of summarizes the whole outlook on life the book comes to. Is just and so on. Just that's what's happening here. So as always, this has been Software Defined Talk. If you want to get the show notes for this episode, you can go to softwaredefinedtalk.com/318. You can see a link to our Slack channel, how to subscribe, the email that we send out, and so on. And with that, we'll see everyone next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Well done. Right on time, as always, Coté. Good job.
I strive for excellence.
What's short? Is it Weaveworks? Are they doing? Is he doing a
Weaveworks.
podcast over there?
Yeah, they've had one for a while, and he just he took over. What's it called?
Oh, I didn't even know. I'll have to
Weaveworks podcast.
I'll have to check it out.
I finally met him, not in person, but in visual, if that makes sense. The art of modern apps. There you go.
Zoom. All right, good. Let's see what happened here. Now back to COBOL, beer, and meat. There you go. All right, nice to hear that. Systems guy.
COBOL.
All right. Anything else we want to say to the stream? All the streamers. Thanks for watching, of course. Anything else?
Lots of exciting interactivity this episode. I think just in 100 more episodes, and we'll have a teaming Twitch thing, and we can start licking microphones in a hot tub, and we'll be all set. We'll start. I think what you're supposed to do at a certain point is you give away subs, you give away subscriptions or something, and you can revenue share on that. Which we should look into that. That might be a major source of revenue for Toothpicks.
Well, that's good. Well, on that note, thanks for everyone for watching, and we will hopefully talk to you next week around the same time. Hope if all goes well. So take care.
Yep. Always clean those mics.